Our next speaker is Krull. Cheryl is a conservation advisor with Auckland Council, and her talk, excuse my pronunciation here, Cheryl, is Poipoia te Kākano. It's an iwi and hapū-led project to preserve the Kaipara. Welcome. You okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Tēnā tātou. I don't know how to use this thing. Let's see. How flash. So, ko wai maua. Ki ngā mana i ngā reo, tēnā rā koutou katoa. Ki ngā haukainga, ngā tangata whenua o tēnei whenua. Tēnā koutou. Ki te kai karakia, tēnā koutou. Ki ngā kaimahi i whakarāranga tēnei kaupapa i tēnei wiki, tēnei te mihi. Kia ora rā e te whānau. Ko puke karoro te maunga, o tamatia te awa, Kaipara te moana, māhuhu ki te rangi te waka, rongo mai te ariki, Ngāti whātua te iwi, te uri o hau te hapu, o tamatia te marae, ko Victoria Kurupo tōku ingoa. My name is Victoria Kurupo, and I come from the metropolis of the Kaipara in the Northland, Te Pito o te Ao, the centre of the universe. I work for my hapū in Environs, which is the environmental division of Te Uri o Hau Settlement Trust. I am the project lead for the Poipoia te Kākano team, which is our pest and predator trapping team that has numerous trapping projects across the Kaipara. But our biggest project that we have is a pest and predator eradication on Puketotara Peninsula in the Kaipara.
Kia ora. I've already been introduced. My name is Krull, and I'm a conservation advisor for Auckland Council, and I have the privilege of working with Victoria to support our Poipoia te Kākano.
So we have a video. If you can push, do I? Environs, a subsidiary of Te Uri o Hau Settlement Trust, looking at pest and predator eradication within the Kaipara Harbour. This is the nesting grounds for taraiti, for mātuku. They're worth saving, so for us it's very important because these are our taonga that we want for our tamariki and our mokopuna to know. Working collectively with Auckland Council means that we're able to get a better result than working isolated.
The Kaipara is New Zealand's largest estuarine ecosystem, so this environment creates a really good habitat for many species. So the on-the-ground pest control that's happening in these areas, we're controlling rats, mustelids like stoats and ferrets, feral cats, and also feral pigs. The project has been incredibly positive so far, having all of the stakeholders work together collaboratively to try and work in the most effective way to achieve this amazing goal. Pukupuku Whititira has derived from a tupuna of our people. We now call him the taniwha of the Kaipara. He was a renowned warrior, but now he is the kaitiaki of our Kaipara. Not only was it, my tupuna that have travelled the Kaipara, but it'll be my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and many generations further. As long as we look after it and we protect it, the scenes of the Kaipara is just so beautiful. It's a gem. It really is a gem.
And that is our presentation. No. So the Kaipara catchment is, as you can see on there, it borderlines between the Auckland Council and the Auckland region and the Northland region. It is covering 40,900 hectares and has a catchment area of 640,000 hectares. So it's a big catchment. In the Te Uri o Hau rohe, we have to deal with 3 councils: Auckland Regional Council, Northland Regional Council and Kaipara District Council. We are the only hapū to go from the west coast through to the east coast. So we have a scope that goes across both coasts, and we are the gateway for the north into a long-term vision of creating a gateway for the pest and predator-free Northland. There are 5 projects that we're looking to integrate for our predator eradication, which is Te Korowai Otonga, Okahukura Peninsula, Puketotara Peninsula, Hukatere and Poto. But we also are integrating trapping systems within the East Coast as a collaboration with local trapping entities, DOC and Auckland Regional Council. And as part of our activation towards the 5 peninsulas, we are actively starting suppression trapping within the Poto Peninsula and integrating other kaupapa with ngā maunga whakahi, which we're going to be doing at Atu Creek, which will include trapping in there. And so we're starting to connect the dots and create that barrier. I know it's a long-term goal of us being able to create a predator-free gateway into Northland, but we are actively doing a stock take on who we need to work with and seeing how best we can collaborate with them. So it is adventurous, but we have to start somewhere, and we're looking to actively try and make sure that we work towards that. That's our goal. So who is Poipoia Te Kākano? It is an operational team with an Environ Studio Ho established to protect our taonga species from pests and predators. And that's how we want to do it, gaining contracts for sustainable income, clear community engagement, authentic relationship building, especially with government agencies and landowners. That is one of the key points, and the support so far has been amazing. Consistency of boots and bush, remaining consistent, advocacy and education and promotion of leadership, active lead working towards completing the goal of our Predator-Free 2050 mission, and active kaitiakitanga and advocacy for te taiao. So Poipoia Te Kākano role, it is more than just a strategy, is it a sacred commitment to our whakapapa, our whenua and our taonga species. Rooted in the values of kaitiakitanga, we stand as protectors of the mauri that binds all our living things. Every action we take is a step towards healing the land, waters and skies of the Kaipara and looking into te tai tokero. By restoring ecological balance, we return mana and vitality to the taonga who have stood long as indicators of the well-being of our environment. The tuna, kiwi, mātuku, tara iti and countless others who carry the voice of our ancestors in their flight, song and presence. Using the kōrero of our tupuna Pokopoko and his pūkaya, he would sound his pūkaya in times of war and in times of peace. So the lack of birdsong currently is Pokopoko sounding his pūkaya for war, and for us the sound of birdsong will be Pokopoko sounding his pūkaya for the sound of peace. The mahi is just not environmental, it is spiritual, cultural and intergenerational. It's about restoring the mauri of place, reviving ancestral relationships with the natural world and reaffirming our role as kaitiaki. When we remove what does not belong, we make way for the return of what truly does. The beauty, strength and abundance of our natural heritage. This is our vision, this is our responsibility and this is our legacy that we will lead for our tamariki and our mokopuna. Oh, and it's still me, let's go. Okay, so the Kaipara, I'm going to go on a rant on this one, no. Kaipara Harbour is one of the most ecologically rich and cultural significant coastal ecosystems in Aotearoa. You would have seen it in the video. As the largest enclosed harbour in the southern hemisphere, it is a vast network of tidal rivers, wetlands, dunes and estuaries. Some of the dunes that are most significant in our country, actually. This complex ecosystem is home to many taonga species, which I've already mentioned. The Kaipara faces mounting environmental pressures, sedimentation from land use changes, forestry runoff, extensive farming and erosion are choking its rivers and smothering critical shellfish beds and fish nurseries. Excess nutrients have led to the decline of water quality, impacting species health and disrupting ecological balance. Over-harvesting invasive species and climate change further strain the harbour's delicate mauri. Tū te uri o hau me tātou nei tangata whenua, the Kaipara Harbour is not just a body of water, it is our living ancestor. A source of identity, sustenance and whakapapa. The kaipara is our pātaka, our food cupboard, and it fed our tūpuna, and it is important that we look after her so that we can feed our mokopuna. The harbour embodies the interwoven relationships between people, place and all living things. It is central to many iwi, including Te Roroa, Te Uri o Hau and Ngāti Whātua, who have long upheld our kaitiakitanga over the harbour, guided by mātauranga Māori and values such as whakapapa, manakitanga, tapu and kaitiakitanga. Restoring the health of the kaipara requires a holistic whenua-based approach that will restore balance not only for the threatened species who call the harbour home, but for the future well-being of people, culture and climate. When the harbour thrives, so too does its people. Now it's step out.
Cool. So the Kia Puawai Ki Kaipara Committee was brought together as a steering group to support Poipoia te Kākano in its work in the Kaipara region. And we were really united by the vision of Pokopoko Wheti Te Rā and him sounding the pukaya to restore peace across the Kaipara, and had this as our vision. So the partnership includes Department of Conservation, Northland Regional Council, Kaipara Uri and Auckland Council. And up front, I just want to acknowledge that any perspectives that I'm giving on this partnership are just coming from an Auckland Council perspective and also mine personally. This partnership was built on a foundation of whanaungatanga, a foundation of relationships that has been created over many years through other groups such as the Integrated Kaipara Harbour Management Group, which is specifically looking at sedimentation, like Vic talked about before. It's enabled us to build this relationship on trust, formed through this previous experience, and also including some of these long-held relationships. And in the photo you can see here, this was the gathering for the signing of our strategic document, and in the group there are a number of kaimahi who've been involved in the project for many, many years. And I think what's been really important about the project is that we're all coming from a place of kaitiakitanga, wanting to work together towards the same goal, that same shared purpose of protecting the Kaipara region. And so throughout the process of this partnership, we've focused on building strong and meaningful relationships, as you can see in the strategic document listed under one of the PO. So key to this has been showing up in person, and although the work has mainly been done in the Northland region so far, I've been really grateful to Auckland Council to allow dedicated time to the project and staff members so that we can show up. And when the work does start in Aotearoa, we're ready to go, but we've also built that history and that connection with the project. The partnership is also rooted in kotahitanga, a real oneness, both across this very large area, but also different local government boundaries. And in this strategic document that was drafted with all parties involved, we really focused on having a unifying language throughout the document, which I think created a real ownership of the project, but also a real sense of belonging from my personal perspective. As a new staff member not too long ago, I was welcomed with open arms into the project and treated like I belonged there, was given a voice at the table from the very start, which I really appreciated. And I feel this has been a really important aspect for that advocacy and communication. feeling this sense of belonging to a collective has really inspired me to advocate for more resources and to communicate the values of the project to a wider audience. So I'll end my section with just a few key takeaways that I've gained from this project. Nā te Kākano, so involving Māori from the beginning. This project is obviously hapū-led, which is ideal. But on other projects, ensure you're engaging with Māori early before you're even undertaking that planning stage. And a key is also knowing what you're wanting from Māori, why they're sitting at the table, and coming and bringing that from the start. We ensured that this document was rangatira ki te rangatira, that it was signed between the decision makers. We had support from our general manager from the start, and that gave this document mana, but also enabled us to dedicate those time and resources to the project. I mentioned before the importance of kanohi ki te kanohi, showing up face to face, making those key connections. Nothing beats an in-person connection. Learn some tikanga and make an effort with reo. I've personally got a lot to learn, but I think Vic would agree that just making an effort is key. Allowing enough time and resources te whai rawa. So ensuring you have resources for kaitiaki to attend those initial planning meetings. And landscape scale initiatives such as this one obviously take time, but even smaller projects may not conform to council timeframes or financial years. So just making sure that you can give it the time that it takes. And lastly, and most importantly, kia nāko māhaki, it was our expectation with this partnership that it would result in honest and open communication and relationships. And we had mutual respect listed as one of our key values, which I think should be the foundation of any relationship that you're making.
Kia ora. Back to me anō. So some of the challenges that we have faced. So in our first peninsula for our predator-free project, it's based in Puketōtara Peninsula. This was highlighted in our feasibility as the best place to start our eradication program because it was one of the smallest peninsulas with a clear boundary line. It was already actively trapped through the landowner efforts, and that included mustelets, cats and rats, and we're providing support with the eradication of possums. Our initial scope was to provide ground-based support through adding supplementary trapping infrastructure to increase the trapping network, which was already within the peninsula, but the landowner wanted toxin-based delivery as opposed to what was already there. He felt that was the best method that would achieve it, so we had to rescope. We had to take time to be able to engage because as a hapū, we represent our people, so we had to go back and talk to our people, including the marae that was just up the road. And then we also... so after our engagement, we were actively moving towards ground-based. There was a huge Cody dieback issue there, which turned the scope from ground-based to having to move into aerial drop. So that made us have to go back and do a reapplication to Ministry of Health, which then also meant that we have to re-engage with our whānau, and our whānau aren't very educated on 1080, so that has been a huge learning curve, but also having to bring them along into that learning very fast, and helping to get them to understand that has also been a challenge as well. The single landowner, everything is on his terms, so we're heavily at his mercy, which is good because you can understand that he loves his whenua, but it also means that sometimes it just makes access and things for us a little bit harder. Resourcing, the sourcing of external funding, that's, government entities, and finding the external funding to be able to do it authentically and at the scope that you need to. ensuring that we hold the mana of our beneficiaries at the forefront always, bringing them along with the journey. Sometimes they can have their own opinions and that can make it a bit hard, but we also got to make sure that we respect their mana as well. And losing the support of the predator-free 2050 staff. They've been there from the beginning and they have invaluable knowledge, and the support has been amazing.
Sorry, Victoria.
Kapai, so that was it. Talk too much, see? But feel free to come talk to us afterwards if you need.